I'm alongside my good friend Seth Lewis from over there at WWL in New Orleans ahead of Saints versus Falcons this upcoming weekend. Weirdly enough, these two teams have had disastrous seasons in more ways than one, but there's still a chance to get into the postseason. Seth, heading into this weekend, what's kind of the energy in New Orleans as they go into this final week of 2023, 2024?
Well, the interesting thing about this week is there's a little bit of an added energy because of how they played against the Buccaneers. It was probably their best win of the season against the best team that they've beat this season. It's the first time that they beat a team with a winning record. And so I think there's a lot of added confidence in the locker room. Derek Carr, his numbers didn't look great, but he was definitely comfortable. It was one of his better games of the season. And then when it comes to the defense, they forced 4 turnovers in the game against the Buccaneers and against a team that had won 4 straight. And Baker Mayfield, who has been the best quarterback in the NFC South, kind of held him at bay, no pun intended. And so I think that there is a little bit of added confidence and look, don't let us in the door. That's the worst thing you could do. That's what they believe as far as the NFL playoffs are. Don't let us in the door. So there's a little bit of added confidence going into this contest.
When you look at how this Saints season has gone, it's been interesting because it feels like at times it's looked a lot like the Falcons season where they would have big wins that make them feel really good and then have moments where it would be a major letdown. The quarterback position on both of these teams has been a bit of a question as well. But you do mention that if they feel like they can get in, do you really feel like they've got the tools to be able to actually make some noise once they make it to the playoffs, or if they make it to the playoffs?
I would say that would be very tough, especially because you're talking about in the first round, you're going to be facing either the Cowboys or the Eagles, which, look, the Cowboys and the Eagles have both shown that they are beatable over the last few weeks, but in the same breath, those are teams that you believe that if they figure it out, that they can contend for a championship, whereas with the Saints, I don't know if they have all of the pieces in place to do that, but I mean, confidence is one heck of a thing. And I mean, if they are able to beat the Falcons and if they are able some way to make it into the playoffs, you never know.
This game obviously means a lot, and you're a man who's been around this Saints versus Falcons game for your entire life. I am curious, as how does this one maybe compare to other years? Both these teams, like I said, still trying to get into the playoffs, but it's a rivalry. It's the last game of the season. It has to mean a little bit more.
I think it always means more when it's Saints-Falcons, right? I think that it's one of the better rivalries in the league. I think it is an underrated rivalry. It kind of feels like an SEC thing. Now, following college football, it feels like an SEC rivalry. And the one thing that no rivalry can beat when it comes to this one, it is by far the pettiest rivalry in the NFL. And so I think that there's always a little bit of extra on the line. And no matter if the Saints or the Falcons are able to make the playoffs, if the Falcons win this game, you've swept the Saints. Falcons fans are going to talk about that for the next year. Whereas if the Saints win, of course, Saints fans are definitely going to remind them what happened in Week 18.
I think I have to ask about the coaches as well. Both Arthur Smith, Dennis Allen have both been under fire for a lot of this season. Do you feel good about Dennis Allen's chances of being back in 2024?
I think that there's a good chance that he comes back, and I think in part it's because Saints ownership is very patient. They're not someone that looks to switch quickly, and I think that when it comes to looking to potentially hire a future coach or something of that nature, those things can be attractive to a potential coach because you know that you are going to have a chance to make mistakes and that they're not going to jump the gun quick like the Panthers, for example. But changes have to happen, even if it's not with Dennis Allen. I think that it's hard to believe that Pete Carmichael is back as the offensive coordinator, and I think that there are other changes that need to be made because the Saints have been hovering in this mediocre state. And I mean, in the NFL, it's very hard to get out of what I would call purgatory in the NFL, in that 7-10, 8-9 range. Like, that sounds good and that sounds okay, but that's not getting you any closer to a championship.
I think my last question I have to ask about the game specifically. What are you anticipating between this match between the Falcons and the Saints on Sunday?
I believe that it's going to be close. I believe that it's going to follow the script of most Saints-Falcons games, which can be a little bit wonky at times, and it's almost always interesting. But I do believe that the Saints are going to be able to get it done because I believe that there is this added level of confidence coming into this game. And then the veterans on this team, when you talk about Alvin Kamara, when you talk about Demario Davis, when you talk about Cam Jordan, they know the importance of this rivalry. They know not only what it means and how both sides hate each other, but also what it means to the fans. And so I believe because of that added motivation and because they know that their playoff lives are on the line, I do believe that the Saints will get the victory on Sunday, but it would not surprise me at all if the Falcons were able to come into the Dome and get the upset, because that's just kind of how the Saints season has gone this season. Anytime you've expected one thing, it's kind of gone the other way.
I think my favorite part about the Saints versus Falcons rivalry is the fact that they could go and lose every other game on their schedule. If they win this one, they feel like they've accomplished the main goal and won the Super Bowl.
It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable how these two games just kind of not always have defined the season, because obviously these franchises have had their different ups and downs. And in years past, when both teams haven't been good, that's meant everything. You know, I grew up in New Orleans, and I remember just how much Falcons wins and losses meant, especially when it came to bragging to maybe relatives that live in Atlanta. And then obviously with Hurricane Katrina, there's a lot of people that moved from New Orleans to Atlanta. I have family that's in Atlanta. And so it's always, you don't want to get to the water cooler and the Falcons fans are giving it to you. You know what I mean? So it's just always interesting how it is, but it's cool. It's a part of what makes this rivalry so neat. The Panthers and the Bucks, they kind of want to get into it. And, you know, like Bucks fans hate the Saints, but the Saints fans don't reserve that same type of hate for the Bucks. There's only one team that Saints fans hate that much, and it's the Falcons.
Boy, it's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I'm excited to be able to have coverage from out there for 11 Alive. I'll see you there, Seth.
See you there.